So I ran out of pages in what I thought was my October book, so I decided to set up a new book for both October and November, the final week of October. And I'll probably run out of pages again, which, you know, yeah, it does bug me a little bit. I would love to have one book per month, but life isn't like that. Things happen. Okay, so right now in the video, I am prepping my Dutch doors where I have my weeklies. So I have counted out 10 pages or 10 spreads because I need 5 weeks in my monthly booklet. The final week of October and all the weeks in November. And I measured the first Dutch door page. It's 3.5 centimeters because that's how broad my weekly boxes are on the calendar spread that I will add later. And then I just measured using the cut page. So I just, drew a line with a pencil along the side. So yes, on the calendar page, I am now folding the edge of the page to make room for the weekend, but also at the same time be able to see the weekly boxes on my weekly spreads. And now I'm filling in the numbers of the weeks, and I write each number 2 times because the first spread is for the weekly and the second spread is for my memory keeping. And I always use my big old gold calligraphy pen because, I don't know, I like it. Reasons. Next step is to transfer the November calendar from the old book that I'm abandoning to the new book. So I rip out the calendar pages and I glue them into the new book. And this is something I've learned over the years using bullet journals and planners, that, it's easy to be afraid of ruining your book. And this is a typical thing, can you cut things out and glue them in? Yes, I've decided that, yes, you can do that. It does make the pages thicker and not as neat, of course. But on the other hand, they become very sturdy, and I check my calendar a lot throughout the month, and having it be very sturdy and sort of thick and it's actually a good thing, because since I use that spread a lot, it's good that it sort of attracts attention by being so thick. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I feel. So now the weekly boxes to the left are visible on all my weekly spreads. And now I'm also drawing the boxes to the right for my home weekly boxes. First weekly spread, setting up next week. It was next week, now it's this week because I'm recording this on Monday morning. Same setup as always. I don't write the names of the weekdays because since the setup is always the same, I know that Monday is in the top left corner and then comes Tuesday and so on. But I do write the dates because that's always different. So I was just checking in the old book which date the new week started on. And the next step after this was to prepare my memory keeping page, which comes immediately after the planning page. So both of these spreads are for the same week, but the first one is for planning and the second one is for memory keeping. So I'm just prepping the page by painting it black. with watercolor. And I'm changing my setup slightly because normally I have my next actions on this spread to the right, but that means I don't see them when I'm on my weekly. So I'm switching things around and having my brain dump on this spread instead, on the, to the right where I have my post-its right now to protect the page from the black watercolor, and having my next actions on the weekly spread, so that to the left on that spread I have my weekly with the deadlines and meetings and stuff, and to the right I have my next actions. So slight change, but I think it's a good one. And since I have changed books 1 week before October is over, I have my October calendar in the old book that I put to the side there to the right. So I'm transferring all my deadlines and meetings and stuff I have to do during the week from the old book, the calendar is, to my weekly. So the calendar spread in this new book begins next week. You may see it, the top weekly box to the, in the top left corner says 44, but the current week is 43. Because I switched books early. And as usual, I am using different colors for different projects. So everything that is purple, like pinkish purple, and on this spread is for home stuff. And for work stuff, I have different colors for different projects. So for example, turquoise, orange, blue, green. And right now just now I jotted some things down, and now I'm jotting again to on the right hand side. So those are the next actions I should get done this week. It doesn't have a specific day when I need to get it done, but as I said, I'm trying out a setup where I have my next actions on the planning spread. So those purple things up to the right are home next actions for the week. What else? Well, one thing that's kind of special about this week is that I have a ton of deadlines. You will see that Friday will be filled up with D's in a circle, which is my symbol for deadlines. So there's a lot I have to get done this week that I've put off for a very long time. But I do have some days that are not scheduled, so I think I will succeed. Well, I have to. And I'm putting a few meetings that are not actually mandatory. So if I run out of time or feel stressed about all these deadlines, I can skip those meetings. They are more like could-dos than to-dos. And normally I would write them in pencil. I don't know why I didn't this time. I was tired and confused this morning, I guess. So. And now I am adding another next action to the right in turquoise, which is a work color, a work project. And some red ones. There's a lot of things I need to do for my red projects. I actually made a mistake and only used one kind of red, but there are two different reds, a dark red and a sort of lighter red for different work projects. And I have now divided the page into 4 sections. So the top one is for home next actions, the next one is for computer stuff at work, and the third one is for listening, and the fourth one is for contact people. So I do like to have this rough division between contexts on my weekly, well, in the booklet, in the monthly booklet on my next action spread, but I have more granular next action contexts in the back book. But the next sections in the back book are possible next sections, and the ones I write here on the weekly spread are the things I really need to get done this week, but not on a specific day, just before Friday when all those deadlines are. As I had written these, I realized I hadn't written any headings, so I just turned the book over and wrote the headings along the side like this. So home, computer, listen, and contact. And I also noticed that the Today tab had sort of, the glue it didn't stick to the page. Okay, so I just picked a new one from the back of the whole, from the back book where I keep all my tabs. Because I need a tab to quickly flip to my current weekly. Next thing I did was to change to move my calendar pages, my future calendar spreads that I've had at the beginning of the back book, but I don't like that. There's something, it just doesn't feel intuitive to me. So I ripped them out and put them at the back of the back book because it's easier to flip to them when they're in the back. I don't know, because I don't need to use my tabs for that. I know that I can go to the back of the book and there are all my future calendar spreads. So yeah, another case of ripping things out and gluing them in. And in my next setup, which I might do for November, I'm going to use a Leuchtturm for this, for the back book. So I will put the calendars, from the very beginning, I'm going to put all the calendar spreads at the very back. I've had this set up before and I know I like it because, I don't know, it just feels like it's something, the calendars are a very specific and often used section. So it needs to be really easy to flip to. So in this setup, I only have calendar spreads for December, January, and February because January is sort of a cut-off month at work and I get new projects in the middle of January. So I haven't planned, March, April, May, and so on. But in the next setup, I think I'll put calendars for the whole year until July, because that's another cut-off month. Because there are things I want to plan in advance, very much in advance, and it bugs me not to have the calendars for those future months. Here I'm just adding some washi tape because the pages are falling out since I've ripped out their sort of companion pages. When you rip out pages that are in the middle of a signature, the other page gets sort of orphaned. So I'm just repairing my book. And now I'm just flipping through to see if I like the new setup and also crossing out things I've done on a post-it. So these are my new journaling pages that I've started filling in. I haven't prepped all the pages. I have a lot of blank pages as well, if I want to draw things, for example. The back book, all my projects, just checking that the tabs are in the right place. And one final step, I have this drawing I made that I'm very pleased with, and I wanted it to be displayed front and center, so I glued it in on the inside of the cover of the back book. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just adding that final touch.